And then we're gonna have another sit down with KW. June 18th, 2012. Thanks for joining. 3:44 p.m. What's on your mind today, KW?
Oh, not much with her, JB. Anything in particular you want to talk about?
Well, we just listened to the Jim Rome David Stern interview where Jim Rome asked if the draft lottery was fixed in favor of New Orleans against the odds. Now, David Stern was rather upset with that question, and in a rebuttal asked Jim Rome if he still beats his wife. I'm not familiar with Jim Rome beating his wife, but what's that rumor? What was that question all about?
I have no knowledge about him ever beating his wife. I don't get into the
Jim Rome? You don't know much about it?
Journalists' wives. I don't care anything about that. I think that David Stern is a little sensitive to any type of illegal fixing type of questions, because it's always been known that of all the leagues that exist, the one that is most susceptible to
Or suspicious
is the NBA, and of course that referee was found guilty of fixing games. So I believe Jim Rome should have asked the question, and Stern should have answered appropriately, which I don't think he did. But
I agree, but they had a big boy discussion there after he threw that question out. Kind of snapped Jim Rome back into it, but
yeah,
they weren't
professional.
I think the media blew it up and made it seem like it was
exactly
like it was something it wasn't. It was a big boy discussion. I think they can have conversations again. Sometimes you jive with people like that. You know, they ask you something, they move their bishop in, you move your bishop in.
Huh.
You know?
And who's the pawn? Who's the pawn in the game?
So, I don't think it was a big deal.
Yeah,
I do think it was a good question. I wonder about these leagues in general.
I do too.
Well, let's talk about treason to believe.
Whatever happened to that poster? Did you throw it away?
No.
That's okay.
It's somewhere.
Yeah.
Give us the synopsis of treason to believe.
It's treason to believe because the team was always talking about how they're there to win every game.
Let's remind folks what treason to believe is what we're using that as a metaphor for. Talking about the Colts tanking the season to get #1 draft pick Andrew Luck.
And by the way, the original poster said reason to believe, and it had a photo of Harrison, Manning, and Pollard. And then I put a T in front of the reason to say treason, because at this time they were going through a pitiful season, which I believe was because Peyton Manning was injured, and he was the total dictator.
So basically, the conventional theory is Peyton Manning had this unforeseen injury.
No, it was foreseen.
It was foreseen, but they didn't realize that they were going to have to take him out of the season. They thought he could be up and ready.
And you think that he colluded with the other players. You mentioned Freeney and of course irsay and the tight end.
I didn't say I'd know, but I'm just saying it smells. But
no.
So let's go over the two theories. Okay, so regular thing. Peyton is not in. Peyton is the most important Colt on the
Yes.
field. Their whole team is designed around him being able to put up touchdown passes,
controlling the ball, the clock, everything.
and that as a result of that key missing person, then
That's why they lost the first.
they just went to only being able to win 2 games.
But you said you said this fix was in before the season even started, and that's where I disagreed, and we've disagreed ever since then. I am saying that they were going in to go to the Super Bowl again, but Manning was out of the picture.
Right, but once Manning was down, it's like everybody folded.
Yes, I do believe that's when they decided maybe subliminally to.
But how is it just coincidental that the best quarterback since Manning was on the table? This was before the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Manning decides to have he supposedly this was a lingering injury that he had, and he was capable of still throwing, and he had been in pain the previous seasons.
Yeah.
They knew this. This was his 3rd surgery, and then he had his 4th surgery, I believe. He had his 3rd surgery in the spring or whatever, and then his 4th right before the season opened. Something like that. But, so they knew that he wasn't going to get up to speed. And so they decided,
sometime during the regular season, to tank it.
not sometime, because you had to start losing immediately. So before the season.
No. They put Collins in there. Oh, that's an interesting point. They put Collins in at quarterback. Did they really think he was going to be able to do anything? This lends to your theory that they put Collins in knowing that he wouldn't do anything, knowing that they'd lose the first few games, then the season's kaput. This lends to your theory that the fix was in from the very beginning.
So if the fix was in, where? Not saying it is, but it probably could be never any way to prove it. But if it was, where would this rank in like sports fixing?
Oh, teams tank all the time.
So just another season of strategy. Is there any technical things that say you can't tank, or is it just this? You're violating the spirit.
It can't be an obvious act, or else you will be fined if it's an obvious act. But the players are coached very delicately on this, that you can't have a ball right in your hands and oops, they drop it. That's too obvious.
You're saying by the fixers.
Yeah, you have to fix it intelligently. You just can't be, like when Sonny Liston went down from being punched by Cassius Clay, and the punch didn't even seem to hit Sonny Liston's jaw. That was just asking for an investigation, because everyone said the fix was in, that they wanted Liston out, who had known mob affiliates, and they wanted Cassius Clay as the champion, which they later regretted. But it was a phantom punch. Thereby, it was obvious to almost everyone that it must have been a fixed fight.
What other famous fixed?
Jake LaMotta, boxing mostly.
The Shoeless Joe Jackson. What was that fix?
That was 1918. Rothstein, who had mob connections, put the fix in and paid some of the Chicago players. I don't think he paid Shoeless Joe Jackson, but each player would make just that little
fudge, fumble,
a little fumble that was intelligent, and that it wasn't obvious.
It didn't look obvious.
Yes.
I've seen horse races where I can see the jockey pulling back.
Yes, I think I've seen that. That's another thing where there's a lot of fixes. Horse racing. And of course we have the soccer situation with Italy.
And I was thinking that it would be hard to fix a soccer game through the ref, so that's a player. Players
this
would be
is involving the players. And a player can do little things like yellow cards, fall down, stumble, and the opposing player gets the
Kick
ball.
off of the wrong side of their foot or something.
Yeah.
I mean, just little.
Yeah. Sports is very easy to. A good athlete.
Why is it always fixed? Because it's a business.
Money. It's money.
It's a business for the gambling industry, and it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
business for the executives. Like in some of the, to grow a fan base, you might fix it to highlight a city that you're trying to showcase or
like
something.
you're saying with New Orleans and the NBA, yeah.
New Orleans getting that draft pick, and that's what Joe Rome and
Right.
David Stern were talking about. But that got me on the Colts with KW.
Well, I just don't believe the Colts situation as far as the fix being in before the season began. I believe, and this is what I'd say has happened many a time. A team's going bad. They lose some heartbreakers through the season, and then towards the end they start to look at the facts that if they keep losing, they will get a higher draft choice.
Right, and it just happens to be Andrew Luck, the key position of the guy who, if the fix was in, started with him.
Yeah.
And then they get his replacement, and it's good for the league. They spread Manning out to Denver. He gets his $50 million. Colts didn't want to pay him that. Not when they had a younger version of him right there for the plucking.
I know. But, like I say, we just disagree. I believe they went into the season intent on winning.
I mean, what about that suck for luck? Remember fans talking about suck for luck? I mean, even the fans are in on it.
When did that come about? What game of the season did that?
Probably 7.
Okay, I agree. The 7th game of the season, they might have been saying, we need to start tanking this so we can
Suck for luck.
Suck for luck.
Yeah, okay, folks. Well, thanks for joining us. That's our take on sports and the fix.